Hello, everyone, and welcome. Please type in the chat and let us know where you're watching from. Love to know where you're watching from. I know we've had plenty of registrations from all over the world, and it's so exciting. So while everybody gets situated, type in the chat where you're watching from, and we will get started very, very shortly.
New York. New York in the house.
New York.
See? Indonesia. Wow.
Ah, good morning for you, maybe.
Jersey.
Yes.
Yeah.
Belgium. Oh, wow. Virginia. Oof. It's too fast.
That's awesome.
Too many people. Oh, thank you so much for being here.
North Carolina, Poland, Kentucky.
Mexico. Nice. Bangkok. Oh, wow. Ireland. Lexington. Ooh, New York again. Whew, a lot of people.
Yeah.
I cannot even read it. It's too fast. Thank you.
It's someone from the Bahamas. Gosh, they're from everywhere. So all different time zones right now.
England, Philadelphia, Argentina.
Well, listen, before we get started, I just wanted to say good afternoon, good evening, and it seems good morning as well.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us for this exciting design program. I'm so honored to welcome our guest designers today. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Lottie McKinnon, and I'm the Program Director of Industry Relations and Education for Teleflora. And we're so proud to be able to offer our florist friends from all over the world these free virtual design shows. We have a lot more coming your way this year with a diverse range of subjects and teachers. So please do check us out on Facebook and YouTube for all the latest information. We have hundreds of florists watching today, so I can't promise that we will get to all of your questions, but we'd love you to put any questions that you have for Leopoldo and Cindy in the Q&A function at the bottom of your Zoom screen. You'll also receive a survey after this program, and we would so appreciate your comments there. So without further ado, I would love to introduce today's incredible designers. Leopoldo has a floral school in Mexico City and also travels and teaches all over the world. His work has been published in a book and numerous floral magazines, and he was the first to represent his country in the World Cup competition in 2019. Cindy's floral experience comes from years in retail and event work in California and Las Vegas. She is AIFD and met Leopoldo at a symposium where he was the international guest designer. They've been traveling, working, teaching, and presenting floral programs together ever since. And they got married too. They work together on floats every year at the Rose Parade in Pasadena, and they also work for a seasonal holiday and home decor company in China, creating showroom displays and assisting with product development. Last year, they competed in a large-scale installation competition in Japan, where they placed with a gold medal and also took home the trophies for best use of color and most innovative design. So without further ado, I'm handing you over to Leopoldo and Cindy. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. It's a little weird, right? The only one is clapping, it's Lottie.
Yeah,
thank you so much, Lottie. Thank you so much, Lottie, for that.
Yes.
Clapping. First of all, of course, welcome to all of you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being with us today, sharing this hour of floral passion, of floral design. And thank you so much for giving us a little bit of your time and be with us, because we know that for some of you, possibly is very late. For some of you, possibly is very early in the morning. So thank you so much for that. And of course, thank you so much for Teleflora for this very nice invitation, this great idea that they are having, planning this kind of classes, totally free for all of you. That is not very usual in the floral industry. So thank you so much for Teleflora, and especially thank you so much to Lottie and to Tim for your very nice invitation.
Yes.
Right. And of course, also before we start, just reminding you that this is an English program. I know I am a Spanish speaker, so as you can see, my English is not that great, but I am trying. Sorry if I say something crazy during the class. Usually that happens. So laugh with me. It's okay, we can have fun together, but I will try to do my best so we can communicate. But please remember, again, it's an English program, so if you have a question and you want to type it in the chat, please try to do it in English so Lori can read it easily, and she can transmit us, she can tell us what you are thinking on or what is your question, and we will try to answer some of them, right?
Or if someone sees it and they know the translation, then put it in English for her so she knows what the question is, okay?
Good.
All right, awesome. Okay, so we'll get started because we have so much to show you in an hour that it's just gonna be like lightning round. So we'll get going. So the point of today is we're gonna focus on everyday designs because you all, for the majority of you, maybe all have shops, and it's important to focus on that. So I gotta say, you know, since I met this guy, I've been trying to incorporate, you know, these concepts and techniques that he uses into things that I can do in the shop, because as Ladia said, I worked in Las Vegas, a high-end retail shop, so it's fast-paced. And as much as I love some of the artistry type elements, sometimes the time just doesn't allow for it, or you know, other variables. So it's always been something that I bug him to be like, well, how can you make this more shop friendly for me? Because I want to be able to do it. So that's what we're going to focus on today. And so we're going to just go with the first one. I'm going to get going. Get it going here. And so I'm gonna just give you the backstory and show you the materials that we're using, so that when he gets to the construction, when we unveil that, you can understand what you're looking at. Okay, so for our first design that we'll be taking you to, it's pretty minimalistic what he's done. It's a mobile, a hanging mobile. I'll just give you that, but that you will imagine it. But we started with this. It's just a triangle. Like, he literally started with this idea of this piece, and the whole construction is going to be made out of this wood triangle. So keep that in mind. And so two of the elements that put this whole thing together we'll show you really quickly so that you can see how he constructed it. So with all these wood pieces that you'll be looking at, these were first primered and then painted, and then covered with a texture. And that texture,
Just a minute.
pardon me, is oatmeal. So this is what the whole thing is going to look like. And from far away, you kind of can't really tell what you're looking at. But after the paint and primer and everything's done, the whole piece is going to look like this. So that's what we're looking at. It kind of looks like a giant granola bar right now. But so two components. First, there are going to be holes that are drilled for water source in this design. So I'm going to have him demonstrate that really quickly for you with this piece.
Let's show them how to attach, right?
Yes.
Okay, well, what I do to attach these kind of pieces is actually for the ones that already have take a class with me, they will know that this is a technique that I use a lot in all my work. I love the drill and I love the wires, because you can do pretty much anything that you want with these two materials, with these two elements. So what we do is we take a piece of wire like this one, and you take the drill, right? You prepare it, and you take your wire cutters, you take the wire, so you twist it so the wire gets stronger, and now I can use it as a nail, and I can use my drill directly to the wood. You can see it goes through very easily. And then what you have to do, can you help me please, honey? Here, there we go. And what we did is that we placed the pieces in opposite sides, like some horizontal, some vertical, and then I connect in the edge. Right. That's it, and that is connected. So of course, On each piece, we attach like 2 or 3 times. It depends on the strength that we want to create. And you will see the piece, we create a very minimalistic piece, as Cindy says before. That is, it's a play, it's a game of positive and negative spaces. So you can create more transparency, and with less pieces, you can create a very big piece. So let's unveil it.
Yeah, first, I wanted to, the first thing that people always ask when we do demonstrations with this technique is, why don't you just use screws? So we want to, explain why this is important. First of all, the wire, which you're probably going to have questions for Lottie about, is baling wire. That's what you can find in the States. It's called baling wire, or what was the other name? Annealed wire.
Annealed wire.
Annealed. And so we find it here at the construction store, like where they, just have that kind of a hardware store.
Yeah.
It comes on a roll for us. But in the States, I found that it's a little bit harder. They do carry a version of it. So see, for us, it comes in a huge roll. So it's really cheap and comes by the kilo. And when he strained it, like how with the drill, it makes it super duper strong. So you're it's at first very malleable, but, and this is a 14 gauge, but once he does the straightening with it, I mean, it's like triple the strength.
So let's go for it. You can see I take it with my wire cutters and I just start on the drill. That's it.
And so not only is it perfectly straight, it's like super duper strong.
It can be hot.
Okay, so that's the 14 gauge. And like I said, you can find it in the States. You can even get it on Amazon. If you put in baling wire, which baling, it refers to baling hay. So you can find it at a horse and tack store. I found that before. It's for the horses. So that's what they use it for. So baling wire or annealed wire. Home Depot or Lowe's does carry a version of it, but it comes in smaller packets. Galvanized wire is available if you can't find this kind, but we don't recommend it because A, it's more expensive, and B, it's been treated, so it's a little less malleable and harder on your hands to work with. So if you can find this stuff, and like I said, I found it on Amazon the last time that I was in the States. So in addition to why do we not use screws and we use this wire is sometimes when we are connecting things, it could be like, I don't know, 7, 8, 9 inches apart, the 2 connector points. So I mean, how often are you carrying around, 9-inch, 10-inch screws to get through whatever you need to get to? In addition to that, the length of things, sometimes, when you're attaching a branch to something, let's say, and it's a dark color and you do it like 10 times to connect it, then you have 10 little silver spots all over your work that your next thing is going to be like, how do I cover that? With this, it's virtually invisible. Like you can't even, it's like magic. It just looks like it's sitting there. You can't really figure out how. They have to like walk up to your work and really look at it to see how this is happening. So yeah, that's really why.
And it's cheaper.
It is, but I mean, we do use screws. We're not, when it's possible and necessary, we're not total gluttons for punishment, but this technique is really, really useful. So it's a good one to learn. And then a question just about the oatmeal. I mean, it's not just like food items, but this is a technique with texture that this is what we do at the Rose Parade. Things are covered in natural materials. You can use anything, like any color. Poppy seed is black. Parsley is another one that, is used. We use bird seed or hay, just cut into pieces, whatever. It's just, there's any color that you want to do that covers your mechanic in a natural way. So that's why we use this. You just want to make sure that you paint underneath so that, it can be, if you're doing black poppy seed, then you want to paint your material black first. Okay. All right. So now we're going to unveil the piece. So we're going to have to turn off the camera for a second so that we don't give you guys.
Yeah, our camera and our mic. Just a second, guys. Please be patient because we have to move in the spaces. We prepare so many pieces for you and some of them are a little big. So sorry about that, but we have to move.
So just let Lottie know if you have any questions.
So let's do it. We will be back in a minute.
Thank you so much. This is amazing. We're already getting a ton of questions, you guys. Pam Smith would like to know how the wire is held in the drill. And of course, we got a ton of questions about the gauge of the wire and where you got it from. So those you already answered for us. So thank you so much, you guys. And I know that they're on the move to their next location. So I think we're about to get the big reveal here.
Okay, we are here again. Just let me place on the best way my tripod, and that's it. I hope that you can see good over there. Well, as you can see, here is the mobile that we prepare for all of you. It's a new concept. I love always to try to inspire the students, right? We are always telling to the students, oh, be creative, try new things, and do this, do that. But sometimes us as a teachers, we don't take the risks, right? Sometimes we don't create different and new concepts for all our students. So we always try to take that risk. We always try to create new things so the students can see different things. And this is a subject that I have been that I fall in love during the last year in 2020, the floral mobiles. And I am, I am still learning about that, about the weights and about the balance of how to create it. Is very interesting. It's a very interesting subject because, of course, it's not only floristry, it's also science, how you can keep in place everything at all. Of course, I have here our piece anchored, so it is not twisting all the time, so you can see a little bit more stable, but this will be able to move. You can see that is very cool, I think, to create big installations, to create big decorations. And of course, it's a piece that you can use also like a interior piece. That is also something that I am very passionate about, to create pieces that can be used not only like a floral arrangement, also like something that the people can keep during the time. It's not something that they will throw and that's it. It's something that they can keep to decorate their houses, and if they, when the flowers die, they can replace them, or they can call their florist, of course, and you can get more and more and more work each time. So, well, as you can see, we connected the pieces. This is what we were talking about. You can see the transparency. You can see me over there. We create the negative and positive spaces. Of course, you can place the flowers in so many different ways. You can place the flowers, like shorter, and you can keep all the openings and all the negative spaces just open. So that is very clear. But one of our subjects today is also talking about the opacity and the transparency in the floral design. This is something that is also very, very important for me. I use it a lot in my design. I love to create different pieces and different mechanics that allow me to create this transparency. But what is opacity and what is transparency? Well, the opacity is the characteristic that let the light get more or less through the thing. So if it has more opacity, it will have less light going through. If it has less opacity, it will have more transparency. So it's the opposite. More opacity, less transparency. Less opacity, more transparency. So that is the way that it works, and how to create it is very interesting. One of the first tips, one of the first secrets that I will share with you is that to create that transparency with the flowers is, of course, using the length of the stems. Most of the times, a lot of the florists, they cut very short the stems of the flowers, and we are wasting not only of course, the stem. We're wasting the energy of the growers. We are wasting the energy of all those employees that take care of that flowers so they can grow, of course. And the valuable thing in the flowers is the length of the stem. As florists, because I know when I started, I think the same of it, is we think that all the value of the flower is just the bloom, but the biggest value of the flowers is the stem. So it's good to have that in mind. So let's use it to create this kind of transparency. And of course, as you can see, let me show you really fast. We drill in the pieces of wood with a spade wood bit like this. We drill in the triangles, just a hole through, and in that way you can just put the water tubes in the armature. As you can see, it's very easy to take it out, it's very easy to put it in, so it's a very reusable and a very flexible armature. And I mean, I hope that you enjoy it. You can see something that we will be talking also during the whole class, that is the colors, how to mix a lot of colors in the same design. That is something also very interesting, and it's something that I am also very passionate about it. So we have to move. Okay. So of course, this is like the artistic piece, you know, like probably a lot of you are thinking, oh, I will not do that in my flower shop, but we create for you some options so you can use this kind of technique in a more fastest and more shop version, right? So we will be back again. Sorry, I will be turning again my camera off and my microphone. Just a minute and I will be back with you.
Thank you so much, guys. We have a ton of questions, so I don't know if you can hear me, but we would like to know the kind of wood that you are using, and we would also love for you to talk about the water sources for those flowers in that last gorgeous piece, and also how did you attach the oatmeal to the wood? So let us know if you can hear me.
Yeah, of course, we are back.
Oh, hi, thanks. How thick is the wood as well?
Yeah. Sorry about that. It's just that we're trying to keep it as fast as possible. We have a lot of pieces, as I told you, but of course, that is something very important. I mean, we only use MDF. That is the kind of wood that we used, but of course, you can use plywood or any kind of wood that you can get.
This one is about a 1/2 inch.
Yeah, this is a 1/2 inch MDF, and we glue the oatmeal just with white glue. That is all what we did. So that was
Plain white glue.
the mechanic.
I'm gonna have him show you the, again, this is a wood spade bit, and it's available in so many sizes. This is really, really useful because this is gonna drill all the way through and make these holes. So I'm gonna have him show you that, that's important.
Yes.
The drill. Oh, and somebody was asking about the
hole.
The actual drill and how you hold the wire. It's got, you have to get these adjustable ones that actually open and close, and not the kind that you just clip the, you know, the screwdriver piece out. It has to adjust to the size so that it can actually hold the wires.
So you can see it's just it, and you can see, of course, in a table this is easier. I will do it here. That's it. You can see that is a way to create a hole. It's very easy.
So that size wood spade bit that we just used was a 9/16, and it fits perfectly a 3-inch water tube. Okay, normally it fits perfectly a 3-inch water tube.
It doesn't go.
It's tight. Yeah, but that's why we didn't use glue or anything. Generally, it just slides right through and it holds it right at the lip. So that's the good size. We have about 50 holes in all the pieces. So half of them let me see, half of them have the 10 holes each in them, and the other half that you saw standing up, no holes, just the oatmeal. He's trying the next size up. We might have gotten the wrong size for you.
Yeah, so I think that I took the wrong size. That's why it doesn't fit. So it was my fault, guys. That happens, right? When you want to show something, it never works. But let's make it work. So that's easier, so you can see it. That's all.
Okay.
And it should fit. Yeah, let's put it so everybody can see.
Okay, that's what it was. So can you read the size on that one? Sorry. Next size up. That's
that is 5/8.
5/8.
5/8 for a
5/8.
3-inch.
3-inch tube. And there's a bigger size if you want to use a 4-inch tube. Do you want to show the package? Actually, that's helpful. Here, I have it right here.
Sure.
Yeah.
It would be something like that.
It's
So
in
for the
Spanish,
commercial.
but I know we were not sponsored by them, but it's in Spanish. And this is a bigger one that would fit the 4-inch tube. That's a 3/4 wood spade bit. So good purchase. Okay, so all the holes. So the next piece, our shop-friendly version, is done the same exact way. So I started with the same exact piece of wood. We just got extras of them. But for this one, I textured with dried bougainvillea instead. So I just wanted to show you what that looks like close up. Can you take this, please?
Yeah.
So for this one, we did petals. And like I said, there's a million different things that you could use, but this is what the texture will look like. To dry the bougainvillea, you just take it off of its stem and pluck out the little white flower that's on the inside. Just lay it by the window or something. It's about a week if you just leave it sitting by the windowsill by itself. If you're really in a hurry, when I lived in Vegas, I used to stick the petals in my car, and by lunchtime they'd be dry. So that's the way to do it.
But of course, you can also use any kind of petal.
Anything, rose
right?
petals.
Yeah.
You know, this is just the dry bougainvillea, and this one actually was a lot faster for me to do when I kept the petals whole. But if you're using something like dry lavender, we use that a lot because the fragrance is amazing, but it's really expensive here, so we didn't do lavender. Status works great, and if you have something like that that you either want to cut up into smaller pieces so you can just sprinkle it onto the glue, you can just throw it in a blender. That's the fastest way to go. I mean, pick a blender that you do not make your smoothies in and just dedicate it to this. This is exactly what we do at the Rose Parade for everything. You want yellow, there's straw flower, you know, lentil seeds, poppy seeds. You can use sushi. People have done that before. We love using dry lavender. Like I said, you can do it with rose petals, anything, it works. And it's important that like I said, the piece of wood underneath is primered and painted. I did fuchsia, the Design Master fuchsia color for under this one, so that if you're missing any spots, you know, it's not too unforgiving, that you can see the wood through it. So that totally helps with that.
Okay. So so for the shop version, we will not use water tubes because sometimes that is not very useful at the shop. It's more useful if you can use foam or put your flowers directly to the water, of course. So what we will do is we create some holes to put the flowers through those holes, and also we create 3 more holes to put some legs on this piece of wood so it can stand a little bit. You just do that. I think that it's not this size bit.
So the reason why we're using a drill bit instead of the wood spade bit, because of the size, is that when you're doing it and it's not going into water tubes, you kind of want the holes a little bit smaller so that they hold your stems better, so you don't have flopping stems everywhere. That's what he's trying to show you, is that for this piece we went smaller on the holes. What's the size on that one? I think it's a 5/16, just a regular drill bit.
Yeah. So let me take it and show to all of you. Sorry about that. It's here, the right size. Oop, there we go. Okay. So it's, as you can see, it's very easy. It's just a regular hole, and what we use is just wooden dowels, and in that way we create 3 holes in the piece, and you can stand your piece of wood and use the piece of wood as if it's chicken wire or photo foam. So
okay, ready?
let's see the next piece. Because our time is running, you can see. There we go.
Questions, that is stunning. We
You
have
see?
had questions from the last one.
Oh, sorry.
That's
Sorry
okay.
about that. Sorry.
Well, I just think we should
So,
just
like I
give
was saying,
people.
these pieces you.
Yeah, it's beautiful. People are asking about the water tubes, and at what point do you put them in, and what kind of water tubes you're using. And it looks like some of them were in tubes and some of them aren't.
What? Some of them what?
It looks like some are.
Sorry, we cannot hear complete the question.
It looks like some of them are.
Are you talking about the hanging piece?
Yes.
No. Okay, so in the hanging piece, we put the tubes in as we were making the structure. So all the tubes were inserted dry, put into all the drilled holes, and then filled before we added the waters with this kind of a water bottle. This one's from Anya. This is our favorite bottle, but
Thank you, Anya.
so that you can fill the tubes. Yeah, so they're just regular. These are plastic. You can use glass if you like to, but with something hanging, you know, you never want breakage if you're going to be hanging it in a some space where people will be. So we did use plastic ones. This is a 3-inch tube for that size spade bit. Okay. Okay, so we're going to move on to this one. As I mentioned, the bougainvillea that I showed you, that's what these triangle pieces are covered in, and the holes that he drilled for that one.
So, oh, sorry about that. Oops. So you can see maybe a little bit better. Like right closer the piece. You can see that triangle over there and how the flowers go through the holes, directly taking water from the container. I know that probably some of you have a lot of questions in how to place the flowers, how to place the structure, if they are tied, if we tie, sorry, the stems in the armature in the structure. But sorry about that, guys. So we have not a lot of time to share so many details like that, but I promise you that I will try to be sharing also in social media maybe later, right? Little by little, some of the tricks, some of the tips that we also use during the class, so you can have it clearly. But of course, we have so many things to show you. And as I was telling you, also that color, how to use the color to create transparency. Well, this is a very interesting subject. Usually what you have to do in the transparency using the color is that usually when we learn floristry, or at least when I learned floristry, I remember that all my teachers taught me that the more dark colors needs to be deeper in the design, and the lighter colors needs to be more to the front of the design, or more height on the design. And actually, this is true. This is true. Of course, that works, and that gives a lot of balance to your designs. But also something very important is that to create more transparency, and with that, you can create more depth and more focus and more dimension at the same time, is that after you put a dark color, it's like you put light color, then you put dark color, and then again in the back you need to put a lighter color. So what gives us the chance to appreciate more the transparency and more the depth in the designs, in the floral arrangements, is the light. So that is the main trick, to use the color, not only in floristry, in any kind of design or in any kind of art. Just remember, light, dark, and then again light. That will give you more dimension and more depth. So this is, you know, like probably more a window display option for the flower shop, because probably it's a little bit not very usual on the shape and not very common for the people. But we also have one more option using this kind of, you can see it's very easy to move. It's not hard at all. So this is a more friendly version for the shop. Let me, where is the front? Let's find it for all of you. I don't remember really which is the front, but I mean, all of it looks pretty, I think. You can see this is just a slice of wood trunk. Over there, you can see the stems. That is very cool. You can see that we just drill the slice of wood, and then you just start playing with your flowers. You just start having some fun with your flowers and creating a nice version shop, you know, like a more friendly for the people that is not very related to the floristry, right?
Yeah, I mean, something like this, you can do on site. Let's say you have something that's, I don't know, a brunch or something that there's only 10 of them, something that you can just set and do on site. We did it this way because we wanted to show you the open stems. The tray itself is just, I don't know how common these are in the States, but they're really low. It's just a ceramic tray. He uses these all the time to put his hand-tied bouquets standing in them. So that's how we did this to stand. But like, let's say, you know, when I say I want things to do in the shop that I can get away with, I mean to my boss, like, how am I going to make 50 of these and transport them in the van? So, and not, you know, have time on site to set it up. So if you wanted to make this piece more transportable, he's going to hate that I'm going to do this, but hold that.
What I hold?
The whole
piece of
wood?
wood?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you needed to be more transportable, you just start this in a container instead of the tray. So this
That's
whole
it.
thing, yep, would just start, you know, can they see that? Start in the container that would fit that, set the wood right over it. It has 4 legs, this one, instead of the 3, instead of the triangle shape, it has 4 little legs that hold it up with the wooden dowels that were taped, and then just set that over the top, and you can assembly line that, and that can, you know, set 50 of them up, and everybody just go in and plug in the holes. And these wood slices, you can use over and over again for, you know, events or however many times you want to. When you get sick of them, just turn them into a cooler arrangement and get rid of them. So these wood slices are really useful. That's what the wood spade bit, definitely a good investment to buy.
Yeah, something that we also try to take care of is like when I met Cindy, that is one of the big questions, because her shop background, like her more commercial background, she was always questioning me how you can use those techniques, sorry, on the you know, on the regular flower shop. So since that moment, I start also trying to find a way to make it more friendly for all the florists, because sometimes the very artistic techniques are not very suitable for the shop, right? But it's very important, because not all the people have the chance to just make art, because the pleasure to create it. So it's very, very important to also have the options to create something a little bit more practical, a little bit more fast, and very, very suitable for the shop. So let's move on, because we have still more pieces and the time is running.
Yes, we're just gonna crank them out and keep throwing more at you guys. So let us know if you have any questions. I mean, let Lonnie know. So that's gonna go away. Okay, so while he goes and makes a little bit of a ruckus over here, yes, Crestmo seed, 4 dowels in the circle and 3 in the triangle. We're gonna unveil the second piece, but I'm gonna again give you backstory on how we started with that one. This second larger piece is it's a wall piece, so he's gonna be taking that down for you. And we started. It's actually the same wood, the MDF, and it's about a 1/2 inch thick. But you know, you can. I mean, other things will work. The plywood, 3/4 of an inch is also okay. So what we did to the wood this time is make a texture, a different kind of covering on the texture. And let me show you what this looks like. We use this a lot actually on lots of stuff. This is just wall spackle. The quick dry wall spackle that just for nails, holes and stuff right before you paint. Well, we use this to cover containers, water tubes, really anything. In this instance, we use wood. So the wood has been covered with the spackle, and the trick is you want to get a glove on and just stick your hand in that stuff. It's kind of goopy. You want to dip in a little tiny bit of water, like just dip your fingers in water and then smear it all over the surface. And you get, now I'll just show you the final product. This is what we ended up with here. You can see that's all just done with our fingers. It's a really cool like texture. After it's white, it dries totally white, but after it's completely done, we painted it. The first base color is like an ivory, and you can do one tone. We did a two-tone on this finish on this wall piece. So after the ivory is set, I went over it with copper, and the copper is just done with a dry brush. So you kind of just, you can use spray paint and you put it on a little brush, or, just regular paint that you would get from a little jar, and just lightly dry brush so that the raised portions on the texture show up a little bit more. So it kind of gives you like something cool on a container wall piece. Like I said, you can do it on literally anything. Wood sticks really easily. It's great if you have like those sympathy maches that, they're less expensive, but sometimes, if you want to put a container on the outside, you don't want to have just the mache, you can cover it, paint it a different color, give it a different texture. If it's plastic, like I said, you're just going to want to wet the surface a little bit and it'll stick. So that's what you end up with. Okay. So you ready?
Nice. Yeah.
Okay, so
I unveiled it. So let's move a little bit for you guys. This time we don't have to disappear. Maybe we just have to make a little bit straight this, and let's move on. Here you can see it on the back. What was the paste called? I don't know.
oh,
In English, the name.
it's wall spackle.
Wall spackle.
The brand doesn't matter. The one that we have that's a popular one is DAP, but it really does not matter what brand you use. And if you're gonna have, let's say, an event and do a lot of them, plaster of Paris works the same. It's the same stuff. So
yeah, plaster of Paris, I know it in English.
Yeah, wall spackle.
Wall spackle in English, new word for me. Nice. I learn a lot in this kind of class as well. You can see this is also something that represents a lot the kind of work that I do. I love to create, as I already told you, floral interiors, what I call floral interiors. That is using the nature to create more than an arrangement. Using the nature to create something that the people can keep in their places, in their houses, in their offices, in a hotel, in a building for a very long time of period. And that is, I think, something very, very useful for the shops. Also, that is like, of course, teaching is like my main job. But the other thing that I do a lot is to create spaces, to decorate the spaces, to create different emotions, different feelings in the spaces. So these kind of pieces are very useful for that. Something that is not very usual maybe on the flower shop, but that it has a bunch of different techniques that are very, very useful for the shop. So let me tell you which ones. Well, again, what I did to connect these two pieces of bamboo. Let me see if we can come a little bit closer. Yeah, right. That's better, so you can appreciate a little bit more. Oh, there we go. Oh, sorry about that, guys. No, that's it. Okay. You can see here we have two pieces of bamboo. If you don't have bamboo in your countries, or if it's very difficult to find it, of course you can use any kind of piece of wood, like birch or any kind of branch that you can get in your countries. That is an option. Or also you can substitute the bamboo for 4x4 or for a 2x2 piece of wood. So that's also that it will work to create that kind of pieces. So of course our background, our piece of wood, it's already painted, as Cindy already explained you. And we have a very light color. So that will give me the chance to use very dark colors in the front of this, and they will pop out very, very nicely from that spot. So let's explain. We create and we use the same technique that I already explained you with wire to connect the two bamboos into my piece of wood. So what I did again is I just take a piece of wire. Let me show you right here for all of you. I take a piece of wire and I straighten it, as I already explained you before. Right. You can see this technique is very, very flexible. You can create a bunch of different things using exactly the same technique. As I always tell to the students, don't worry about learning a bunch of different techniques. Worry about handling in the best way the techniques that you already know. So what I did is I took the pieces of bamboo. You can see it goes through, and then I go directly to my piece of wood that is against the wall. There it is. Sorry about that. Of course, if you do it with the support of the wall or the support of the table, it's easier. And in that way, you can see the bamboo, it will be very, very sturdy. So from this bamboo, I attach more what I call bamboo tubes. As you can see, I just cut the bamboo pieces in a very long piece on the top of the knot of the bamboo, and then in the bottom, a very small piece. So I can hold a lot of water in here because as we already know that bamboo is hollow. So that will give me the chance to use this instead of regular acrylic or glass water tubes. So we attach in different places. You can see there. You can see, I think, very good water sources. And we just place, after that, our flowers. And also you can see a piece here, that this piece is a piece of wire that we create with the same baling wire. What I did to create this strong piece is I attach with floral tape 3 pieces of wire. Okay, so we put together 3 pieces of wire, and I will do just one, so you just see the process very fast. There we go. Of course, I repeat, this is one. In the piece, we did 3 pieces together, so it's stronger than this. And after that, to cover it and keep it very, very natural, we use a very old trick. Also in floristry, we use second sand, like this. And we just shred phornium. As you can see, let me do it here for all of you. Okay, so this creates a very nice fiber, a very, very nice fiber. And after you have that, you only need to take your phornium and start wrapping it. You can see very fast, and it gives a very nice natural appearance. And of course, again, very cheap for the shop, right? And as you can see here, we attach also in those wires, we just create some interesting shapes with that wires. In this case, I create kind of triangles. I just bend the wire and create that shapes that you are looking through here in the piece, and those sticks that you are looking here is something that is very, very cheap. It's just the stem of the fern. So what we did is we took the fern and we take off all the leaves from the stem, and we just start attaching it here with regular binding wire. And this natural grid that we're creating here is what is helping me to hold in the right position all my flowers. There we go. So I hope that you enjoy it. I hope that you like it. And in this case, we keep it very, very tropical. So I hope that you like this kind of switch. So the next one, we can show you a more friendly version. Sorry about going a little bit fast, guys. I know that is too fast, but we have to do it. We have so much. So for the ones that know me, they know that it's hard for me because usually I can keep talking for hours.
Okay, this is the first, just this technique that we showed you with the plaster. This was just a plastic container. It was a liner actually. And like I said, I covered it with the plaster. In this instance, I only did one color of the paint, the copper. So you can see all the texture that you just get from your fingers and a glove. And like I said, if you're gonna do an event and you have 30 of these to make, I would get the bigger bag of plaster of Paris from Home Depot. You can mix a lot more of it. It'll go a lot farther. So here's this, you can see it.
Let's get closer. Yeah. Let's get closer for you guys. That's kind of better. Again, this is a more friendly shop version. This is just a regular arrangement. This is just trying to follow in the trends that nowadays are in the market, right? Like more, I think that this is the right view, so you can appreciate it, right? All the transparency, all the lightness, this gardening look that is very, very trendy right now in the flower shops, right? But of course, with my coach, just giving a lot of happiness with the colors. I love to mix also different shapes in the flowers to create more depth and more transparency. When you have the same shape in your flowers, it's very hard to get transparency and depth in your work because, of course, it's repeating and repeating always the same shape during the whole arrangement. So that gives you very, very few chances to get the right transparency or the right airy, I think that is airy, or the emotion of airy, of air in a design. Because if you use this kind of techniques, you have to, you will have the chance to use less material. So that is something very valuable for the shop, of course, right? To use less quantity of materials, but you can create bigger appearances. So when you are able to understand this kind of concept, that is very easy. So this one was just a very easy version, just that you can see how you can use the technique of the plaster in your regular containers. So let's move on in a more crazy design. Just a jar of flowers. There we go. I hope you can see it. Let's go. Let's go here. I hope that you can see it. There we go. Let me fix a little bit this. What is all this? Well, this is something very interesting. This is something that you can create just using a very old technique in the floristry, that is kubari. So the kubari is of course, hanakubari. Actually, it's a Japanese technique, of course, for the ones that work with ikebana. They are very related to this. So just using nature, as I already told you, sometimes in the shop we get some ferns and we don't sell them, or they just get old. And please, instead of throwing it to the trash, just try to clean it and keep the stems of the ferns. And after you get the stems of the ferns, what you have to do is you have to attach, as if you want to create just a hand-tie bouquet, a regular hand-tie bouquet. So you start one branch, you cross the second branch, you cross the third branch, and then you just attach. And in that way, you get the starting point of that technique. You put this inside of all your amateur book, and then you just start adding more and more stems of the ferns in the shape that you want. You can create whatever you prefer, and this gives you a very nice and sturdy structure. Let me go closer so you can see all the detail. You can see all the branches. You can see here all the details, and is a very very good technique to create something very fast for your shop, and something that is very trendy right now, that is working just in water.
Okay, and really quickly, when he was going close up, if you notice that little green poof ball, it's what's left of the agapanthus. When your florets are dead and gone, when those are all plucked away, you get this little poof ball. So don't throw these out if you have that during the season. These make a great little addition to something. Nobody knows what they are. And when they dry, they're like a really nice natural color. So we save everything to dry it, okay? That's what that is.
Okay, so you can see, again, the color, to use that transparency. Remember, we use light, dark, and again, on the back, light, and that gives you more depth, more transparency, and you will get more success in this kind of techniques. That is, I repeat, very, very useful for the flower shop, because it's something that will save you a lot of money. So let's move on. I mean, I don't know if there is any questions. Sorry if we are going too fast.
So fast, but
We just don't know.
we're gonna do a planter. So as we know, the plant sales have been skyrocketing since this pandemic has hit. So I don't know if you noticed in your shops, but we want to up our game a little bit on planters. Basically, if you can see here, the the branches are held in with the same technique that he's been using to connect everything. So those are all just placed on the outside. And you have just a nice mixture of plants that you can do quickly in your shop and keep those available. Okay, we're gonna have to move on to the next one. We're already out of time.
Okay, we're
It's
running out of
okay.
time.
Okay, Lottie, on time.
Oh, no, it's fine. We can listen to you all day long, so you just carry on. We're just fascinated.
So much.
We have no clue.
So much.
Okay, so let's.
Okay, so the next technique is going to be the last big one that he's going to unveil. He's going to need to turn this off one more time, just to not give you a headache or get you dizzy while he moves it over.
Can we throw some questions your way, Cindy?
Go ahead, Lottie.
You guys are doing that?
Yeah, sure.
Perfect. So going back to when you shredded the foliage, can you
Yes.
tell us the name of that foliage?
Oh, the foliage, that's New Zealand flax.
Okay.
Formium tenax is the botanical name, but in the States we just find it as flax. You can do it with hala, which is the brighter green and yellow variegated one, or the reddish color is the flax. And I mean, you can do that little shredding thing with raffia, anything really, curling ribbon. I mean, that's what, if you get one of those, it's really heavy duty and it works a lot faster than trying to cut it or shred it with your nails. So yeah, we get a lot of use out of that kenzan. It's a little bit pricey, right? I don't remember. Yeah, you want to get a good heavy duty one that's not plastic or anything. So as big as they'll come.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
And what about the name of the branch that you've got in the planter there?
Oh, this, you really can do this with any branch. I mean, this was just foliage that we had and we stripped it, but this branch, this is the pepperberry tree, Scinemole. We just used berries from it for another arrangement, and so we just stripped all that. And you know, with branches and adding it to planters, they don't need to drink, so that's why it's just attached to the outside, just to make something more upscale and more special than what they would just find, you know, on like directly from a nursery or something.
Perfect, thank you. And did you use glue, or what did you use to make sure that the branches in the previous arrangement didn't fall?
The previous one, the vase, the tall vase,
Correct,
that one,
yeah.
all of the attachments were used with a little tiny black wire. It's also baling wire, but the gauge on that one is 24 gauge. So it's held together, the big structure is held together with tiny wires.
Perfect.
No glue in that one. Okay, okay,
Thank
he's ready for you, so we're gonna switch over.
Okay, let's. Hello, again, sorry about that. We have to use all the space that we have, right? Just to keep it on the right position. So let me place it for you. You can see, oh, there we go. There we go. I hope that you can see that very good. Let me take out my water bottle. Okay, so it's not in your shot. Well, this is a piece that probably when you see it here, it doesn't look that big, but let me go to the back so you can see the actual height of the design. As you can see, this is actually very interesting because I am using the outside of the structure. You can see that, right? We put the branches outside of the containers. So how you are able to create that kind of effect that gives you, of course, more dimension and more chance to place your flowers in a different way. So what we did is this. I create a smaller version for all of you. You can see we drilled the container. I think that we made 8 little holes. What I used to drill the ceramic, that is very interesting. You only need to get tile drill bit instead of a wood one, or also a glass drill bit is useful to create holes in these kind of containers. And that gives you another different world of opportunities of different techniques that you can create just by drilling your containers. So as you can see, again, I use the baling wire and I attach 1 wire by hole. And then I just start creating the handmade chicken wire technique to create kind of a wall. And then with my, let me show you that the name of this branch that we use here in Mexico. We don't have a lot of different branches here. Probably in your countries you have a bunch of options, like you can use any kind of salix or cornus. Let me take out this so it's not so distracting for you. As I was telling you, you can use cornus, you can use salix, you can use, I don't know, pussy willow. We use this Sidonia oblonga, that is the name of this branch. So we just clean it a little bit. And after that, what we did is we just attach directly the branch to the, I lost it, to the chicken wire. So in that way, you can start creating this wall of branches that are in one of the sides of the container. And that gives me the chance to create something very interesting because I will have a hollow area in this side of the arrangement. And also we place very, very low the, in this case, we use just floral foam, regular floral foam, because it's important, of course, for the shop to use different kinds of techniques. Not everything can be, unfortunately, directly in the water. But we have also very good techniques for using the floral foam and create very cool and interesting appearances. So the floral foam is very low in my container. So you can see, let me show you, let me try to show you a little bit close. You can see that it's very, very low. So what is very high is the level of the water. So the arrangement actually looks like if it's directly in the water, as if it's just kind of a pond. And again, the transparency, you can see how we try to use the yellow color here of the crossmedia to pull the eye inside of the design. So that gives you the chance to see all the way through. Something about the transparency is that you are able always to watch since the very beginning through the end of that design. So we just use some Santadecia, some Craspedia, some ranunculus, some grasses. Ranunculus, we have also the Sidonia longa, some Animagus, that's also very important. And this beautiful leaf that you are looking here is just ponytail grass. That is the common name, right? And that gives me the chance to create a very beautiful movement here in the lower part of that container. So this kind of technique have a bunch of different chances, a bunch of different opportunities, because you can create, of course, these kind of walls, but also you can create in the sides of your containers. And this kind of technique will give you the chance to create reeds or something very, very interesting, very cool in your arrangement. So let's see a possibility that we prepare for all of you. And just let me take this down and I will come back with you again. Sorry about that.
Leopoldo, Cindy, if it's possible, we would love to try and see the back of that. We have had several people requesting to see the back of that.
Okay, yes. Sorry about that. I already moved it, but I promise that I will take a photo. It's a little bit heavy, so
That's perfect.
as you can hear me, I am breathing because it's a little bit heavy, the piece. But I promise for all of you that I will show you the back of the arrangement in some videos or some photos that I will be posting very happily in social media. So this is what we were talking about. You see how beautiful it is here.
Okay, so this is just a regular rose bowl. You know, like the bubble bowl that has a little bit of a roughly lip on top. It's an 8-inch rose bowl, and we didn't drill through the glass. I mean, there are glass bits, but we just wrapped the wire around. And like you said, we just did a collar like this around the base. And then it's weaved with curly willow on that one.
Yeah, it's just curly willow. And then, of course, because you have the structure around your glass container, you are able to go through the middle of the glass container with the same curly willow. So when you make those kind of crossings in the container, that will help you. Oh, let me put back the light. Sorry about that, guys. You know, these virtual classes sometimes have this kind of technical difficulties. Yeah, of course. Well, I was telling you that it's very important to create this kind of containers also with a lot of transparency. You have to use a lot of different layers. That is also a very important tip and technique of the transparency. If you create more layers in your placements of the flowers, you will create more visual volume using less quantity of material. So I don't know, but I am pretty sure that a lot of you want to create bigger arrangements with less quantity of flowers, because that will give you the chance to get, of course, more money investing less money. So that is something very useful, something very important in this kind of arrangement. You can see something very traditional in the shop that can be created very differently from what we usually do for this kind of arrangement. So I hope that you like and enjoy this kind of version. I don't know if there is a question or any kind of doubt. Sorry, we know that we are going kind of fast.
Almost done, guys.
Almost done. We create a bunch of different techniques for all of you. Let me. There we go. This is using again the same technique. You can see here. It's just that instead of going up or instead of going around the container, this is a wood container, so this is easier to drill. You just have to have a regular drill or a regular drill bit, and that will be done very easily. So we just drill in one of the sides, and we create, in this case, like a rectangle in one of the sides. And over this rectangle, we just cover it with this beautiful panicum, these beautiful dry grasses that we have here. And we place some of the bamboo tubes in the side, so you can place flowers that are very long lasting, like some phales, as you can see here, phalaenopsis. But of course, if you don't have the budget, you can place any kind of flower. Really, it's not necessarily that you use orchids. You can see here is a little bit keeping this color, but we have some calla lilies. We use something very trendy, that is the dry materials. That is something that is really in trend. And you can see also dry calathea leaves. That is a very beautiful material, but again, it's just a different option with exactly the same technique. So this is something that we prepare for all of you. And finally, the last piece.
Okay, we're actually gonna finish up everything with a bud vase. So this last piece, of course, you guys can all relate to this. It's just this standard bud vase. This one was from Maxim Decor, but it is ceramic, and the opening is tiny, as you can see. The piece we're gonna show has just 2 holes drilled just right through it here. And this will probably come around. You see that? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, just let me take the material so I can explain to all of you. Here we go. Well, this is just, as Cindy told you, a regular pot base that usually we're not very creative with those ones, right? We only place 1 or 2 flowers and that's it, but it has a bunch of possibilities. As I already told you, if you just drill your container, you can have a whole new world of possibilities in your design. So, as Cindy told you, we just drill. And after that, I use a very old and difficult technique. So please pay attention to this. You only have to take your wire, right? And after that, you just play with it, right? So actually it's not hard at all. It's very easy. You only have to have fun with your wire. Just, tangle it and play and have fun with the wire. And you attach it to the couple of holes that you create. and you create the shape that you want, anything that you want with this kind of technique. And after the wire is in their place, what we did is, again, we took those stems of the fern and we cut it. Let me cut it so I can show you. That is very, very easy. And you only have to weave it to go through the wire that you already create, your wire armature, and you can create a very beautiful texture. You can use pine needles, you can use, I don't know, toothpicks, you can use any kind of stem that is very, very thin, of different kind of flowers or branches that you can get, of course. And I think that is something very, very cool. You see, it's very easy to place it, very easy to create. And after you are done with all the texture that you want to create to cover your wire, you only need to decide which kind of flower you want to create. And of course, when you have only one flower, something that is always very useful in the shops is actually to use all the principle and elements of designs, of the floral design, sorry, that you already know, that you already learn, as proportion, for example, and you only need to extend the proportion to create something more attractive to the eye. Of course, if I put my my orchid in this height, of course it will be nice, but it will be not that impressive. So just go longer, go taller, and you will have also more visual impact in your designs. Of course, and after you place the flower that you decide, of course you can see that in this one I decided to use a beautiful branch of Phalaenopsis orchid and a couple of branches. And for the final touch, again, we go for a working sand. We took the Formium 10X, we shred it very, very, very thin to create the effect of natural and wild grass. And, you know, you only take a little of it and you just have fun placing it around to create a more natural appearance for your decoration, and that's it. You get it?
Voila, that's our bud base. Okay, sorry about the lightning round there, but we wanted to get through and show you guys everything. So hopefully you found some examples that you can try in your shops to feature, or you know, just promote and try something different with some of these techniques.
Yeah, and also, you know, take advantage of these kind of classes that Teleflora is organizing. Is very useful, I think, for all of you as florists. I know sometimes it could be a little fast if the florist is kind of crazy as us and create a bunch of different pieces. So
yeah,
you have to go fast, of course, but I think that is very, very valuable and very useful. So thank you, Teleflora, for organizing this kind of events, these kind of classes for all the florists.
And we promise we're gonna, you know, take extra good pictures and do a couple of snippet videos. So check his social media and we'll get some good shots in there for you. So I know we went through everything really, really fast, but we'll show some close-ups. And if you have any questions.
Thank you so much, you guys. You've been such an inspiration. You're both amazing, and I'm so honored that you would join us today. Make sure that you check us out on YouTube. I'll be posting a recording of this so you can kind of go back on this. I'm sorry we didn't get a chance to get so many questions. We had so many questions.
Yeah.
So you guys are amazing again. Thank you. Check us out on YouTube. Check us out.
Thank you, Lauren.
Thank you, everybody, for connecting. Thank you for your time.
Stay well, everybody. Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.